Hey, welcome back, ninjas. This is Rachael Van Pelt, and today we're venturing into a frontier that I think will be one of the most impactful developments of our lifetime. It's the place where biology meets artificial intelligence, where the tools of advanced computing are beginning to shape the way we understand our bodies, treat disease, and even extend our health span. Now, before you start picturing nanobots swimming through your veins or some other sci-fi horror, I want to assure you that this episode isn't about distant fantasies. This is about what's happening right now on the cutting edge of medicine and technology, and how it's going to affect you in your 50s, 60s, and beyond. I'll start with a name you might know, Ray Kurzweil. Kurzweil is a futurist, an inventor, and one of the best-known prophets of artificial intelligence. Nearly 20 years ago, he wrote The Singularity is Near, a fascinating book that predicted a future where humans and machines would merge. This year, he followed up with a new book, aptly named The Singularity is Nearer, which doubles down on his original timeline. He predicts that by 2029, AI is going to surpass human-level intelligence, and by 2045, we'll experience the so-called technological singularity, which we define as a moment in time when we get runaway technological growth. The kind of exponential growth that expands our capabilities a millionfold. Now, those are bold claims, and whether you believe them or not, what's interesting is how much of what he wrote about in the mid-2000s has already come true. By some accounts, more than 80% of what he predicted back then has already come true. But let's set aside those grand predictions for a moment and look at what's already unfolding in medicine and health. Because when you strip away the buzzwords, I think the human-AI interface isn't just something futuristic. It's actually here. It's already reshaping diagnostics, personalizing treatments, and helping us detect diseases far earlier than we ever could before. And for those of us over 50, that matters a lot. And it matters in a very immediate way because this is when our physiology starts to betray us. Muscle mass declines, metabolic flexibility narrows, cognitive sharpness softens, and risk for chronic disease escalates. The idea that AI could help us slow or even reverse some of those trends is not science fiction. It's becoming fact. Take diagnostics, for instance. Radiologists have spent decades training their eyes to read CT scans and MRIs. But multiple studies now show that AI algorithms can outperform them in detecting certain types of cancer. In breast cancer, for example, a recent clinical trial of an AI system has been shown to reduce false positives by 44%. That alone would spare thousands of women every year from unnecessary biopsies. In cardiology, wearable devices like the Apple Watch are already using AI to detect atrial fibrillation, sometimes even before patients feel any symptoms. And in neurology, researchers are using AI to spot early proteomic signatures of Alzheimer's years before memory loss appears. These are not theoretical capabilities. They're happening today. And what that means is your risk of being blindsided by a late-stage disease is shrinking. One of the most dramatic examples of AI intersecting with biology came in 2020, when DeepMind's AlphaFold cracked the protein folding problem. For decades, biologists struggled to predict how a strand of amino acids would fold into a functional protein. It was considered one of the holy grails of science. Then, almost overnight, AI solved it. Suddenly, researchers had access to accurate structures for hundreds of millions of proteins. And that opened the door to faster drug discovery and more targeted therapies. Just think about it for a moment. Imagine you're diagnosed with a rare condition, and instead of being told we don't have any treatments for that, your doctors can consult an AI system that models exactly how your faulty protein works and how to design a personalized drug to fix it. That's not technology coming in 2045. That's already here. And let's talk cognitive function. One of the most common fears that my clients share with me all the time is fear of losing memory. We all laugh about losing our words or walking into a room and forgetting why we went in, but deep down, we can't help but wonder if it's the first sign of decline. And while there maybe a part of us that doesn't really want to know the answer to that question. The truth is, catching things early can make a huge difference when it comes to treating and slowing progression of cognitive decline. Which is why right now AI is being trained on massive data sets of cognitive performance and brain imaging. So it can learn to detect subtle shifts towards dementia long before a neurologist ever could. Better yet, there are numerous apps being developed that act like an external hippocampus. That's the part of the brain that helps you remember things like names and faces and to-do lists. These apps are being designed to store your conversations, your schedules, put names to faces, and other things that can help you remember context. They'll be able to nudge you with reminders to keep your appointments straight, take your medications, walk the dog, that sort of thing. For someone with declining cognitive impairment, that's not just convenience, that's the difference between living independently or needing care. Or consider musculoskeletal health. Sarcopenia and osteopenia, that gradual loss of muscle and bone, they are silent killers of aging. They sneak in quietly until suddenly you can't lift a suitcase or climb stairs without holding tight to the railing. And a simple misstep off a curb leads to a fall and fracture and premature disability, which turns out to be one of the single biggest reasons people end up being admitted to a nursing home sooner than they expected. But today, we can do AI-driven DEXA scans and gait analysis to catch those changes much earlier. A study out of Japan showed that subtle variations in walking patterns could predict fall risk up to 2 years in advance. If AI systems can flag that risk, they can guide you into targeted strength and balance training long before you become frail. That's prevention at a whole new level. And it doesn't stop there. A colleague of mine at the University of Colorado worked with AI models that analyze continuous glucose monitoring data. They weren't just looking for diabetic spikes, they were identifying early signs of insulin resistance and metabolic inflexibility. Using these AI models, we can detect such patterns in adults decades before prediabetes converts to full-blown type 2 diabetes or metabolic syndrome. With that kind of foresight, a coach or a diabetes educator can prescribe personalized interventions based on an individual's biology, their metabolism, their disease trajectory. That's the human AI interface working in real time to prevent disease and extend health span. And that's just today's technology. What happens if we look out a little further? I don't mean all the way out to 2045. I mean just 5 to 10 short years from now. We're already seeing brain-computer interfaces being tested in clinical trials. Right now, they're being used to help paralyzed individuals control robotic arms or type with their thoughts. But once we can perfect that interface, the potential application for healthy aging is staggering. Just imagine a system that can help us reinforce memory circuits long before they weaken, or a system that can augment our attention when cognitive fatigue sets in. It's going to be a total game changer. Even crazier is the idea of creating digital twins. And this isn't sci-fi. Companies are already building digital twins of organs like the heart or the liver to test drug response. But just imagine in less than a decade having a digital twin that represents your entire biology. So before you start a new medication, it could be tested on your digital twin first. Or before you undergo a major surgery, that digital twin could go through multiple simulations and the outcomes analyzed so the risk of surgery is minimized, the benefits maximized. Wouldn't that be amazing? We'd finally have medicine that's not just tailored to humans in general, but tailored to you specifically. That's where biology and AI converge powerfully. We could theoretically have personalized medicine so fine-tuned that it would massively improve quality of life, not to mention extend lifespan. But I want to pause here and inject a little bit of skepticism because I know my audience. Many of you are scientists, physicians, or just seasoned adults who've learned that hype rarely delivers in full. And you're right, biology is messy. Aging is not one singular disease, but thousands of small breakdowns happening simultaneously. AI can accelerate discovery, but it doesn't magically erase complexity. I've discussed this extensively in past episodes. Access will also be an issue. These tools will initially only be available in elite clinics and to wealthy patients. Regulation will be slow, and there will be ethical battles over privacy and agency. The path forward will probably not be smooth. It's going to be messy. On the other hand, there's a big danger if we simply dismiss all of this as hype or some distant sci-fi future. We'll miss the fact that the interface between AI and human biology is already offering tools that you can use right now. From wearables that detect silent atrial fibrillation to apps that predict sleep disruption to AI-guided exercise programs that optimize your muscle function. These aren't futuristic. They're already in the App Store or the clinic down the street. The question is, are you going to take the time and learn how to use them? Your next act is not about waiting for technology to rescue you down the road. It's about leveraging the technology we already have to proactively preserve your independence, your vitality, and joy. You might not have a neural implant yet, but you do have access to wearables that collect streams of data. You might not have a full digital twin, but you can participate in AI-driven screening that detects disease early. You may not live to see Kurzweil's 2045 Singularity, but you can absolutely live to see the decade when biology and AI begin to merge in practical, life-extending ways. Bottom line, the human-AI interface is not a far-off dream. It's already changing how we detect disease, how we intervene earlier, and how we extend health span. The singularity might be nearer in Ray Kurzweil's terms, but for us, what matters is the here and now. The more we learn to leverage these tools today, the more control we keep over our bodies, our brains, and our futures. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Next Act Ninjas. As always, I encourage you to share this episode with someone you love. These conversations, they're not just for techies or scientists. They're for anyone who wants to improve lifestyle longevity. Until next time, my friends, live well, love more, age less.